All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, I think we got a pretty interesting topic that I want to talk about. I want to kind of compare some of these ideas that have been going around, I guess, for Flesh and Blood on how to, what's the word we're looking for here? Introduce new players to the game. That's probably the best way we can say it. And in today's video, I do want to talk about quite a few things in regards to that. Like, first of all, like what we see on the screen here, we're going to talk about some of the different starter decks that are available and these new Armory decks coming out. And we're going to talk about the first strike stuff because it just so happens I was going to be talking about this anyway, especially with, I really am going to focus a lot on the Armory decks. Excuse me. But at the time of me recording this video, guys, they just recently put out, let me see, they just put out 2 new videos. Flesh and Blood 1 hour ago put out 2 new videos for these first strike decks. That, I think, is a step in the right direction. We will talk about that probably at the very end of the video. I'll have everything time-stamped in the comment section below as usual, guys. But first things first, like I said, let me give a quick layout. The first thing we're going to talk about today is actually some of the original Blitz starter decks. That's the first thing I really want to hone in on and focus on. From there, I want to move over to the Armory decks and then finish off with the, actually, and in the middle there's somewhere we will also look at some other crazy deck. Let me see if I can find it. This one right here. We'll check this out, and then we'll finish off with the Armory decks, right? So, or excuse me, with the first strike decks, excuse me. We will finish off with first strike. So you know what you're getting into, guys. Like I said, I'll have everything, I'll have everything time-stamped in the general description of the video, so you'll be able to hop around wherever you want to. So first things first, when I first got into Flesh and Blood, this is how I did it. I went to the store, I went to my local gaming store, one of them. There are a lot of local gaming stores where I live. And I said, I'm trying to get into Flesh and Blood. The game looks pretty cool, and I'm actually eyeing Viscerai as a I almost said leader. I'm trying to get better at that, guys. I saw Viscerai as a hero that I thought looked really cool. And it just so happened they had this exact deck, this Blitz starter deck, which I think was retailing for $12. As you can see right here, it says $11.99 MSRP. I believe when I bought it about a year and a half ago, or whatever it was roughly, I believe they had it at 10 or 12 bucks, whatever it was. And I was like, cool. Brought it home. And I actually got this one and Old Him. Let me see if I can bring up the Old Him deck as well. Whoops, Old Him. Let's see if they actually have it here. Here it is. Old Him. Tales of Arya. Yep, this one right here. I bought this one. I bought Viscerai, and then I went to town. Just kind of messed around with it, got a feel for it. And I had already done some research already, seeing like, okay, how do I get into this game? And that's when I encountered my first major problem. So guys, understand real quick. Excuse me, I should have focused on this more in the beginning of the video. I am probably the quintessential average player. Like, the casual, the fabled casual player, right? The mythical casual player for Flesh and Blood. They exist. I'm right here. You know what I mean? I'm one of them. And I know there are others out there. I'm being a little bit facetious. But there are casual Flesh and Blood players out there. I would consider myself one of them. Where it's like, I follow this game from the side. I'm not going to any major tournaments. I even have a whole nother game that I cover mainly, with a whole nother channel. But it's like, I'm the kind of person that I'm waiting for my chance to get into the game and have fun. You know what I mean? Because I like what this game is. And I'm the more casual player, and I'm trying to just get into the game and have fun and build decks along the way. Because that's a big part of getting into TCGs for someone like myself. And that's when, about, like I said, it was under a year and a half ago, but it was nearly a year and a half ago now, I got into Flesh and Blood, and I encountered my first major hurdle. I had found a local gaming store. I had gotten product off their shelves, supporting local. I'm really big on supporting local. I think that is a very, very important thing to do. Then I started putting my deck together, and I came across some of the prices in the game. Okay? And like, I should say this right up front, guys. Excuse me, I'm probably going to say some things in this video that might upset or annoy or offend some people. But the facts are out, right? The facts are in, and there are certain things that need to be said. I came across the price of Arcanite Shard. And I know, yeah, you don't need to run that card. I get that all the time. Please stop. Just please stop, guys. I understand you don't need a card to win. Okay, I get it. I'm a deck builder. The only decks that I have available to me in Flesh and Blood are straight budget deck lists. But the price, like I said, it was the first hurdle that I said, okay, let me explain how important it was. when the decision came down to what do I want to play, Flesh and Blood or One Piece, because I had to make a decision because I like to go all in on a game. I'll still play others, but I like to go all in on one, and then the rest are just side games to me. I looked at the prices of these cards and said, no, there's no way. And for those who might be saying, like, I've heard this, guys, we have to be honest with ourselves as a community, because I would like to consider myself part of this community now, part of the Flesh and Blood community. We have to be honest with ourselves. And I see a lot of denial going around. Guys, there have been videos put out on this. I will link this video in the comment section below for anyone interested. This came out 7 days ago. This guy just took the top 5 deck lists for every single game on the list that you see here on the left. MTG, Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Grand Archive, all the way down. And he took the average cost of the top 5 decks that had done, I think that had won or topped in the most recent tournaments. And this is the prices we came across. When the only game more expensive than you is Modern, by the way, that's not standard, what's it called, Classic Constructed for MTG, that's Modern, which is more expensive. Now, CEDH, Competitive Elder Dragon Highlander, that goes crazy. I won't even get into that. But, you know, the only thing that was more expensive than Flesh and Blood was Magic the Gathering. And this isn't something to get upset about, guys. I will say I have been observing the community for long enough to know that this is a really touchy subject in the community. I hear a lot of, well, you don't have to play with all these cards. Or, well, you know, all TCGs are expensive. Or, you know, well, to get into the game, you can just do this, this, or this. It's like, yes, but eventually you will hit the speed bump of, well, I want my Command and Conquers. I still don't have mine. I don't have my CNCs. And I just want the price to go down on some of these insanely expensive cards. So with that in mind, how do we get new players into the game? That part is still pretty basic, right? And I think this is the absolute best route. This deck was a little expensive. It must have a few cards in there that are pretty pricey right now. But this price point right here, this is what I think is the best way to get people into the game. Now, like I said, looking forward, I really, really hope LSS... That's the name. Is it I keep getting confused with LLS or LSS. I think it's LSS. Whoever's the designer or the developers of the game, I really hope they're focusing on lowering the price of certain cards in this game, because I think that's important for new players to get into the game. Because, like I said, okay, if I'm looking to get competitive in a game, I'm looking at the price point. I'm looking for the potential longevity of the game. I'm going to make some predictions. And that's a huge, huge factor for someone like me. And when I see something like this, okay, $13, I can deal with this. But then when we get into something like I said, let's go to the Command and Conquers, guys. Right here, it's like, okay, 80. They actually went up in price, guys. Last time I checked, they were $79. It looks like the white border is sitting around $85, and looks like the black border is going up to about 110 right now on the average. And guys, I don't see how this is not considered a major problem. And you guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Let's just please be respectful. You know, remember, I'm someone who is interested in getting more and more into this game. But when I hit something like this, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, it's like I feel tricked, by the way. I feel like I'm getting tricked into the game with something like, we just had it up. Oh, I went over it. Let me bring up the Viserai deck one more time, guys. Viserai. Y'all give me just a second. I'll find it on here. It's right here. Like, I got into the game, and it was like $12, like I said, whatever the MSRP is down here. That's what I bought this for, and the same thing with my Oldhim deck. And I think I also bought Katsu for something cheap as well. I think that card has recently gone up in price. Let me see something. Katsu. Out here it is. This deck. Oh, no, it's still $10. Cool. So, like, I remember I ordered Katsu offline because it was not available at the store I was at. But I bought Katsu, I bought Viserai, and Oldhim. And I think I eventually ended up buying Prism as well. And I was like, dude, these cards are freaking cool, man. Well, what do I do now? Right? All right, what's my next step? You know, then you go over into the price of the game. And guys, bear with me. We are going to check this out. And we're going to bring it all back full circle. But when you go to decks, and someone like me, I am still... Hear me out. I'm a casual player, but I'm still competitive, right? I'm not just trying to lose every game, right? So I am still competitive. And when you go onto these tournament deck lists, and it's like, whoa, we got some serious stuff going on here. Like, let's just check out. Like I said, Prism was one of the like. So I got into the game hardcore, like for the first time, really got into the game during Dusk Till Dawn, right? So okay, Prism's back, and I was like, dude, this is a cool looking leader. By the way, this has this has Luminaris. Okay. This was a really cool looking deck. I was like, this is pretty awesome. And I'm trying to see something. There was another card too that I really, really wanted. I ended up getting really lucky and I pulled a Light of Soul. I was very excited about that. I was like, cool. Hey, this is a sign for me to get into this leader. And I will say this, guys, I think I have this entire deck list. I don't know. So I don't know everyone that well just yet. Like, I don't know this guy, Austin Summers, but I have seen his name around the Prism, you know, the Prism circles, however you want to say that. But yeah, there are a few cards, though, that were just killing me. I was like, okay, I'll start building this deck and start playing with it, right? And then I'm like, wait, Phantasmal Footsteps are $100. You know, Great Library of Solana is $100. Thank goodness I actually got Light of Soul. I opened that one up, $100 saved. I'm like, heck yeah, that's awesome. And then Warmonger's Diplomacy, this is up to 55. It was at, back when I first started looking into it, like when it first came out, I think it started off at like $39.99, and now it's up to 55. And it's like, okay, I feel like there needs to be something done there. What do you guys think? Again, anyone in the comment section, do not see this as me complaining. Please do not read a tone that is not there. I'm just being completely straightforward and like, man, how can we fix this so other players will want to compete at this level and actually go to, you know, to locals other than with a deck like this, right? Now, that's a perfect segue. I do at least want to mention like one or two more, because my absolute favorite deck, like I said, is Viscerai, and he also ended up, he was very cheap at the time, other than a few cards. Like Arcanite Shard, I really want that card. If you're like, hey, you don't need it, it's like, yeah, hey, I get that I don't need it. I want the card. You know, I want to have that card for my deck. And it's just totally, let me see what that card's at currently. That one, unfortunately, is just out of the realm of possibility. Arcanite Shard, this is the lowest I've seen it in ever. This might be the lowest I've ever seen it. It's down to $235, guys. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it really has more to do with Viscerai just not really being in a good spot. People probably trying to just get... Some people are trying to probably sell out of the game with some of these cards. Like, they see new... they saw new Rune Blades come out, so it's like, okay, I don't have to play Viscerai anymore, so I'll hop over to the new Rune Blades like Aurora, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. But, you know, when I saw this, I was so discouraged. Like, as a new player, and again, this was over a year ago, but I saw this, I was like, man, really? Like this is a card that is so strong. I mean, imagine when you have Mordred tied down or something. You know, there's just so many different possibilities that can happen, you know, with this kind of card. And with it being a gym, and if you're shuffling your deck with cards like Sonata Arcanics, all of a sudden now you're seeing this card multiple times a game. It does more than people think. And they're like, yeah, but you don't need that card to start. It's like, yeah, I hear you, but I'll never have the card. It's not even when I started, so I'll just never have this card, because I personally, so I will say this is a personal thing for me. I'll trade for whatever cards. Like, if I can do trade for, you know, card for card value, I'll trade whatever. But when it comes to buying a card, I will never spend over $50. That is where I draw a hard line in the sand, because I feel like that's more of an ethical thing for me. I'm not pushing on anyone else, but that's just how I am personally. So Arcanite Shard, this was one that really, it just like, you know, stopped me dead in my tracks. And the same thing with, now this card is cheaper, and I did end up getting it, Grasp of the Arcanite. Let me grab this. This card was like, okay, wow, this went way up in price. Hang on, I am very glad I got mine when I did. Let me see something real quick. Okay, look at this. This was down to 30. It doesn't, let me go back 6 months, see if it lets me. Here we go. This card I got when it was like $30. I don't remember it being 36. I'm pretty sure I bought mine when they were $30. But hey, like I said, I will buy a card for under $50. I don't have like a huge issue with that. Now, if it's a triple play set, like you know, a play set of 3, then I get a little frustrated with that. But again, that's not the worst thing in the world. And again, let me bring this back to where we're going. I'm sorry, it feels like I'm going off on a tangent and stuff. But all I'm trying to say is this. As a newer player, when I saw prices like what we're seeing right here, I didn't even know about this. I was going to say at least this card went down in cost. When I started seeing stuff like this, it really scared me away from the game. And especially when I saw my Spellbound Creepers. This is what I was going to go to next. My Spellbound Creepers, I was like, crap, man, 117 bucks. I just can't do that. You know what I mean? It's just outside of the realm. It's outside the realm of possibility for me personally, and I think for a lot of players. And I know what some people are thinking, like, yeah, but if you spend the money on this and then go win a tournament with it, you'll make all this money. It's like, okay, man, I'm not going to pretend like I'm the best player. Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not the best player in this game. Believe it or not, guys, I've been playing this game for an entire year, and I'm still not the best player, right? I'm not, and I fully admit to that. I have no ambition of being the best player, but I would like to have this card to play at locals, you know, and for the time being, I do have proxies. I'll probably have an entire video of that in the future, is for proxies. So, one thing I want to say is, when I first got into this game, like I said, I did feel like once I had gotten the starter deck, let me go to the, back to the one I had up. I keep getting off of it. Sorry, guys, this one at the very top. I felt kind of tricked. I felt kind of duped. because it's like, all right, cool, check out this cool, cheap entry point to get into the game. Okay, I'm in. This is cool. It was fun to play as a Blitz deck, 20 life, half life. It's like a half game, you know what I mean? That's a great entry point to the game. But then, when I got into the game, it was like, crap, dude, these cards are so expensive. It's killing me, man. Especially when when I saw, this was Worlds last year, or I guess it might have been at the beginning of this year, whatever Worlds was. It was Stromae versus Hatch's Dorinthia. I think it was Archer versus Max. I was like, dude, I want to play Hatchet's Dorinthia. Now, guys, let me show you something real quick about Hatchet's Dorinthia. You might not believe it, because I know a lot of Flesh and Blood players are like old school veteran players, and they have been, true to the game, loyal to the game, and they have all the cards they need. And they don't realize how expensive some of the cards are now for the newer players. And I was like, okay, let's check this out. Dorinthia Ironsong, here she is. I'm just gonna find the guy Max Klein. This was his name. That's a $1,000 deck, guys. Like that's a $1,000 deck, and I was like, holy cow, man, this is I guess I'm not going to try that. That's literally what went through my head. And when you look up the results, or excuse me, not the results, the pricing, it is just a few cards. A lot of people like to say, like, well, yeah, but it's just a few cards, and once you have them, they're good for any other leader, like Balance of Justice. There are some exceptions. Find All Spring Tunic and Balance of Justice can be used in any deck, but then you have, where are the boots? Not Null-Rune. These Valiant Dynamos. I feel like every class has like one piece of equipment that is specific to that class, and it's like $100 or $80 or $70, whatever. And in this case, it is the Valiant Dynamos running the 3 Command and Conquers. There's $240 of the deck just right away, right? $240 of the deck is just 3 Command and Conquers. Then we look at cards like Warmonger's Diplomacy. They're only running 2 of them. And guys, for those who are saying this card is not staple, I should have brought up Fab. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry. We do have to bring up Fab Rec. They have a list of staples on here, guys, and I think it is a great thing to have. It shows the new players what they need. However, let me whoops, that's not what I wanted. Classic constructed staples. However, the problem is it is so expensive for all these cards. Some of them are very cheap, right? Null-Rune gloves are under $1. I love that. But Crown of Providence, Finals, $100, $60. Balance of Justice says $200. I don't believe that's right. I believe it's $100 for Balance of Justice. Warmonger's Diplomacy, $60 currently, or about $55 to $60. Command and Conquer's $80. And Light Strikes are back up to $30. I got lucky and got them there down to $25. That was the lowest I'd ever seen them. Same thing with Art of War. I got these when they were $29, I believe. And I was happy to get that. I'm okay with buying cards under $50, like I said. But once it hits above $50, especially when we get into like the $100 range, you're asking quite a bit from new players. Now, back to what we were saying here. Where did that deck list go? So think about how bad that feels for a new player where it's like, oh, man, I love the way the style is with the double hatchets. I love the value of the Valiant Dynamos. That was hard to say. Where it's like, oh, man, I can keep getting this back. That screams my playstyle. Like that, this is my playstyle. Like this Valiant Dynamo style, and like getting this extra value all over the place, doing the double attacks. It just is. It just seems so amazing. I'm not gonna lie. It just seems so cool. And then I hop over to it. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, $1,000. That's a little bit out of my price range. By a little bit, I mean that's like $800 out of my price range. You know what I mean? Typically speaking, I'll spend about up to $200 to $250 on the deck, and that's where I play. That's what I play at locals. Yeah, that's what I have fun with at locals. But with this kind of, these kind of cards, or this kind of price, it does become very discouraging. And I think that was all I was going to show from these. Oh, I did want to show one more. And it was the new Zen deck. New or Zen are both around the same thing. Where am I at? Tournament decks. Here we go. So Zen and New are the last ones we'll talk about. Then we'll start switching directions over to, excuse me, to the Armory decks. Okay, let's go to, I love this new feature here where you can just go straight to, first we'll do Zen. I'm going to do the one that got first place. Where's that guy? I can't remember his name now. He had gotten first place at a big turn. This guy, Evan Herndon. Here we go, guys. This has gone down in price, which is nice, but man, this is a $1,000 deck as well. And this is solid. This is my play style, by the way, because like I said, I did like Katsu. I like going wide on the board. I think that's really cool. I'll have a whole entire video on that in the future, but not right now. And then last but not least, I wanted to show New. New is around the same. Now, New I'm not as big on. I don't really care too much about that leader, but we do have like a very similar problem. Where's like the first place list that just won? Is it not up here? July 2nd? I don't think it was that far back, the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't see I think there was some. Oh no, never mind. I'm thinking of a different leader that just won. We'll just click on a random one. This one's for 1,400. It went up. This must be a really expensive list, but this list is approaching $1,500. So it's like, okay, if I'm a new player, it's like, man, and I'm not, I will admit that I'm not an assassin player. I kind of equate that to a rogue. In one of my previous videos, it was either my intro video or the one right after it, because I've only done 2 videos at the time. This will be my 3rd video on this channel. One thing that I really liked about Viserai is he was very much like this strength, intellect, paladin style leader, or at least like a Death Knight style leader, and I really like that. And whereas I'm not really a rogue player, and that's kind of how I see New and the assassins. They're more like the agility rogue style players, and that's cool. Teach their own, right? Really cool stuff. But I see this price, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit disheartening as a newer player, as a more casual player. It's like, whoa, that's okay. I guess I have no potential to go all in on this game unless I want to drop, quite a bit of money. Now let's switch gears from there. This is something that I really like in the game is these starter Blitz decks, whatever you want to call them. But they went from this for a while, and I know this is like the new craze here, is like these Armory decks. And notice what the product detail says. It's like, okay, the intro Blitz decks are still very good at getting people into the game, I feel like. But then they came out with these Armory decks where, again, I just feel like this is an absolute trick. I'm sorry to say it that way. I'm not saying that LSS is trying to trick people, but as someone who is a competitive player in another card, a very competitive player in another TCG, I see this statement and it really confuses me. Armory decks are a new series of ready-to-play decks supporting ease of access to Classic Constructed, the most popular Flesh and Blood format in the world. Okay? Armory decks include new card designs in addition to many of the foundational cards used in tournament-winning decks of the featured hero. An ideal way to pick up and play at weekly armories. Well, honestly, I would actually just recommend someone get the cheaper Blitz deck, okay? Now, I understand people might be saying, like, yeah, but those decks are actually smaller. You can't play Classic Constructed with them. That's fine. Just get a bunch of really cheap staples, like really cheap stuff. You know what I mean? Because this is like $40 and then another $5 shipping, by the way. Same thing with Bolton. This is $42. This one at least has shipping included. And then this one, now this is pre-sale. Calm down, I know. I get it. Pre-sale prices are almost always too expensive. They usually drop down by a good like 5 to 10% depending on the product. Okay, if not more than that, right? Depending. But my point is, like, these aren't decks that exactly, like, you're not going to bust these out of the box and just start winning, I guess. I mean, unless it's only Armory decks, you know what I mean? And there's potential. I'm not saying it's impossible or anything. But like I said, if we look up a Azalea deck, like here, let's do that now. Okay, now that we're on the Armory decks, let's go ahead and check out an Azalea deck real quick. Okay, tournament. Let's just wait for it to load real quick. Azalea, Ace in the Hole. This is the adult version. And I don't know, here's a first place list. This was Calling Minneapolis. I have no idea how big this tournament was. This is a $700 list. And so that's like 2 different things in one, right? Number one, if I would be very discouraged if I had a $7 list and it lost to a $50 out of the box starter deck. And I don't think it would, by the way. That would probably come down to a pilot error, like a skill difference, skill check. But hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to complain. I have a feeling someone out there is going to take this entire video the wrong way. I'm just actually trying to talk about certain things that are coming out here that I think we need to keep an eye on for the newer players. Because that's where I'm trying to go with this entire video. These little historic packs are nice. I like these little Blitz decks. The Armory deck thing is fine, I guess. I wish it was a little cheaper. Like for a beginner player, you're typically want to spend about $20 or less, right? You're going to want to spend anywhere from $10 to $20 to get into a new game just to try it, and then from there you'll build your own deck. Excuse me. And that's where I feel like the true issue is going to be for like some of the newer players. You make your deck. You hop on Fab. This is a great tool. This website, Fabrary, this is an incredible tool for new players and for veteran players, right? It's just a great tool. You make your deck on here, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, that card costs how much? You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, these new players, I feel like their dreams are just dashed to pieces, But it is what it is. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. And understand, if you're a veteran player and you're trying to remember back when you got into the game and like, hey, man, I was like in that position too. It's not the same. It's just not the same. I don't know how else to say it, especially in the economy we're living in today. I won't even get into that part of it. Excuse me. But I'm just trying to say that I do think there is a invisible law, like an invisible rule when it comes to TCGs. And once certain cards get to a, certain value, or once any card gets to a certain value, that's how I meant to say it, all of a sudden, like, that's a dangerous spot to be in, because it pushes away new players. Like, for example, going back to that video I was showing off right here, this is showing the average price of the top 5 decks of the meta currently for each one of these games with the average price of them. Here's the thing. This right here, for Magic, I said it earlier, this is considering modern decks only. And that's the crappy part. It's like if you're an MTG player and you're just trying to play Classic Constructed, like what we're talking about for Flesh and Blood, because Flesh and Blood only really has one major format, right? Which is not a bad thing. Again, I always have to say that, guys, because I feel like people get really upset when you just call out anything about this game. I've been around enough to know, and like I've seen what people say on in the comment sections and stuff like that, and I see what really upsets content creators and things like that, and even just fans of the game. But let's just be honest with ourselves. For Magic the Gathering, if you're trying to get into that game, you could just play Classic Constructed, and that was almost half the price of what you see on the screen here. And some were even cheaper, of course. Whereas for Flesh and Blood, I feel like there isn't really that path, unless you just want to play a very specific deck like Dash or Kano specifically. And again, I'm not trying to say you can't make a strong budget deck. Guys, just know this. I've been playing TCGs for a very long time. I actually take a lot of pride in how strong my budget decks are that I come out with. They're not always good, but that is something that like I said, I like the challenge of having to do that, and then making a budget list that can actually win at locals. Because again, I'm not trying to win a nationals. I'm not trying to win a calling. I'm not trying to win worlds. I'm just trying to win where I live. In my locals. So just keep that into mind. So piggybacking off of this idea and going back to the Armory decks, trying to get new players into the game with this, yes, it is good that they are 60-card decks, versus, I believe the historic decks are just 40-card. Yeah, because they're Blitz, right? So they're 40-card decks with 20 life leaders. It's more for Blitz. And the Armory decks are more for, 60-player adult versions of these leaders, of Azalea, of Bolton, and of KO. Those are the 3 current ones. However, at that price point of $40, I would rather them had just put a bunch of crappy cards in there, to be honest, and I could just get it for $15 to $20, and then just like slam it on the table at the next Flesh and Blood Armory that I go to, and just start playing. Am I going to get destroyed? Yeah, probably, but that's part of the experience of being a new player. That's not what scares a lot of people off. Like, losing in card games, okay, it happens. I don't know anyone who's never lost a game in cards. You know what I mean? It just happens. But like I said, this idea of having to spend extra for a deck that's also still going to lose, I don't really see the point. And then it gets to the compounding issue of price, where it's like, okay, let me update my deck. I'm gonna throw in some CNCs. I'm gonna throw in a Fine Spring Tunic, and I'm gonna throw in maybe some Art of Wars or Enlightened Strikes, or one of something along those lines, Warmongers, whatever I choose. I didn't even finish my thought earlier, guys. Warmonger's Diplomacy is about to be so nice, guys, going into a Runeblade format. I think it could be very, very strong. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Let's say you throw those in. You're sitting at $500, like minimum level of entry, just for a Fine Dolls, 3 Command and Conquers, and then, like, let's just say your choice between Art of War, Enlightened Strike, or Warmongers. Choose one of them, or choose all 3, and then you're sitting around like $750, $800 deep. And then you haven't even gone into your class-specific expensive cards, and that's where it gets really, really it starts becoming very scary for a newer player, where it's like, I don't know if I really want to invest into this, because what if I invest and I start playing and after 1 month I'm done? You know what I mean? Because that happens. That happens in any game. That happens in Magic. That happens in One Piece. That happens in fill-in-the-blank game. Well, I don't want to put $1,000 into it and then figure that out, and then I have to sell my cards and all that, because that's a whole nother inconvenience. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you'll do what you have to, but hopefully that makes sense. So the Armory decks, I think these are kind of a miss for me as as someone who was just recently a newer player. Just a year ago, I was a newer player, and I never really completely left that area of being a new player, because I went way hardcore into another game in One Piece, and I've only followed this game from the side, Flesh and Blood. So when I see these Armory decks, I'm not a huge fan of them, and hey, hopefully they're doing great where you're at. Please do not misunderstand me or take things out of context. I hope these are popping off wherever you are playing Flesh and Blood, because I don't want anything bad to happen to the game. I want to see the game get better and better, but as a result, I think the only way that is possible is for the game to get cheaper and cheaper. And I'm never talking about alt arts, guys, or like cold foils, rainbow foils. I'm not talking about golden foils, any of the special rarity stuff, marvels and things like that. I'm talking about just standard cards. Like Command and Conquer, I don't want that. Where's that? Do I still have that up? Let me see something. We're about to talk about this one. Hang on, we'll come back to that, don't worry. Let me just bring it up here. The Command and Conquers, it should still be saved. Here we go. Excuse me. I just want a base version of this card that's really cheap. You know what I mean? And like one card that one deck we were looking at, this Azalea deck. Let's see if they have this. Yeah, so here's the Azalea deck over on February, and here's all the cards that are included in it. You'll notice one card that's not in here. You know, Codex of Frailty, right? Like that is a pretty good card, right? Codex of Frailty. Let me get it right here. It's a $70 card, guys, and you're probably going to want this in your Azalea deck, right? I mean, most people would. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not saying you have to run it, but hey, it's a pretty strong card. And when we read the product details, like, hey, yeah, the Armory decks include new card designs in addition to many of the foundational cards used in tournament-winning decks of the featured hero. Why not put Codex of Frailty in here? I mean, how bad? I don't know. I know that like the secondary market would go crazy over that, but dude, that's nice and all that y'all have this entire hoard and collection of all the cards. But I'm a player trying to get into the game, and when I see that, I'm like, well, I can't even try Azalea. I'm not even going to try it. Like, oh, well, you could try it. Just buy this $55 starter deck. Or let's just say it goes down to $30, $35, $40, $45, whatever it'll be. No thanks. Because there's no future potential for me with the deck because I'm not spending $70 on a card. And if we go back to, you know, the... and again, guys, I'm only talking as a newer player entering the game and things that are scaring me away from it. I'm just trying to be honest with people. So, you know, if people want to get upset about what I'm saying, honestly, why? Like, there's no reason to be upset about it. Let me go back to that list we looked at for Azalea. Okay, Azalea, Ace in the Hole. And I think I just looked at like a random person's. This guy, William Pistol. Really cool name. But of course, you know, let's see if he's running it. Yeah, he's running 3 Codex of Frailties. And let's see if he's running anything else that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think this deck runs Command and Conquers. No, it doesn't. So the main cost that's driving this deck is Balance of Justice, Find Allspring Tunic. That's $220 of it. The Skullbone, $35. Hey, like I said, I think that's pretty good. Premeditates are, you know, running about $20 hot right now. Remorseless is only about $10. That's not too crazy. And then you got the Codex of Frailties. So that's like, the whole entire cost is split across like 7 or 8 cards. Like if you add all of them, even the 3-ups, it's like maybe like 10 or 11, 12 cards, which is just so annoying. But anyway, I'm venting a little bit here, guys. Bear with me, but I am trying to be honest, trying to be real. And I think that's the biggest problem with attracting new players to the game. These decks like this is a great way to attract people to the game. What happens? They actually buy this for 10 or 12, 13, 14 bucks, whatever it is where you live. They play it, and they're like, this is pretty cool. I want to play a Runeblade, right? Or I want to play, we're going to go to this one now. I want to play Dorinthia. What's the best Dorinthia deck that I can play? Oh, it's called Hatchets. It's called Hatchets Dorinthia. You know, I know some people might say there's other better versions, like the, what's it called, the Dawnblade one. That's fine. I understand. My point is, like, okay, I want to play Hatchets Dorinthia, right? Like in my situation, sorry, that's going to run 1,000 deep. You know what I mean? And it's just really annoying. Now let's talk about this one. We're gonna segue over to this one real quick. So we've gone over the Blitz decks. We went over to the Armory stuff, and now we're gonna go to this Classic Battles. I think this one's kind of cool because this is made for 2 players to enjoy. I recently on my other channel I covered a Yu-Gi-Oh product that was getting a ton of I feel like it was getting a ton of backlash. And, you know, rightfully so. There were issues with it, and I talked about it in the video. But in that video, I was showing off a product that was meant for 2 players. It had 2 decks in there, and it had a scripted duel, which some people might think is corny, but it taught me how to play the game. I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I wanted to review that product on my channel, just, you know, number 1 for content, and number 2, just because I wanted to learn a game that I missed in my childhood. Because I went, you know, the Magic Pokemon route. Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't really my thing. And so I check out this starter deck for 2 players. I busted out. I learned how to play the game. I'm like, all right, that was pretty cool. You know, for a little $20 product, I liked it, but I have other games I want to play right now. Same thing with this. I like this idea, the Classic Battles Rhinar versus Dorinthia box set. Because, hey, if you've got a friend, you know, y'all are like, say y'all play Magic the Gathering. It's like, dude, I heard this new Flesh and Blood game's really cool, and look, they got some product on the shelf. Cool. We hop in. We try Classic Battles Rhinar versus Dorinthia. You know, I don't think Rhinar's the best choice, though. I'm going to be honest. I think Dorinthia is a great entry-level leader or hero into the game. That's great. Not a huge fan of the Rhinar choice. You know, I feel like that. And I almost think it would have been better to be like Dorinthia versus Bolton. where it's like they can kind of share cards, right? One is a warrior and the other is a light warrior, you know? I mean, I understand having that talent maybe is an advantage. I'll probably have to do an entire video talking about, you know, talent leaders with talents versus not. But the idea is that'd have been cool if they could have shared the cards and then combined into a 60-card deck and then go from there, right? In case, you know, if it was just one person buying the set. Because that's what I did for the Yu-Gi-Oh! One. Like I said, I just bought one and tried it out. I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Anyway, I like this idea a lot better. It is $30, but you're getting two 40-card decks in here. And I bet if you tried, you probably could mix them together and make one deck. Just a budget, crappy starter deck. Because that's all you're going for. You just want to be able to play the game and try it out. You know what I mean? That's why I was saying, that's why I like this, but I wish it was a 60-card deck. And if they're going to make it into that, I don't want it to be the Armory deck where it costs like $40, you know? Because, I mean, even if you're not looking at this one, $42. $37 plus the $4.99 shipping. This realistically, they're like $40 products. And I'm sure that changes. Bear with me, guys. You know, the products, you know, the prices change up and down all the time. I am trying to be fair. I am trying to be, you know, as completely balanced and fair as I can be. So again, I kind of like this idea. I just wish I wish we were dealing with 60-card classic constructed decks, even if they are just very basic cards. If they're scared to reprint the really, you know, really expensive mythics or whatever they are, the red ones. So yeah. Now, last but not least, I think they're taking another step in the right direction. I will link these videos in the comment section below. Like I said, I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. When I went to start my video for the day, these had just come out. It's a First Strike Learn to Play with Aurora and this guy, shoot, what was the other guy's name? Terra. This guy, these are two different videos. And I think one is showing off this one is showing just Aurora, and this one is showing off a full gameplay. We're not going to watch it, but showing off a full gameplay with these guys from, I think, 3 Floating, I think is the name of them. I can't remember their name. First Strike, I don't remember their name, unfortunately, but these guys are super cool. It was a really good learning tutorial on how to play the game as well. This was an excellent production, the way they did this. Same thing for this one. Notice how it's set up in the background. Like I said, I'll have all this linked in the comment section below. But this is a step in the right direction, I feel like, where they're going back to just these little, where is it? Let me go to the front page here. This. I do think these will be 40-card Blitz decks, because you do start with 20 life on these. I wish they were 60-card standard leaders, but hey, it's at least a start, and I think this is still the best direction for the deck going forward. The Armory decks are kind of cool, but it'd be way cooler if they reprinted insanely expensive cards in them. Like just for example, what if this had, I don't know much about Bruce, I'm not gonna lie, that is not my thing. What if Bolton had something like Enlightened Strike in this deck? What if Azalea had Codex of Frailty in this deck? And we'll just say for the sake of it, what if KO had Command and Conquer in this deck? You see what I'm saying? That would drive the price down on these insanely expensive cards. And it would give people a reason to buy these starter decks, these Armory decks. I think it'd be really good, especially for the newer players. I know a lot of people who like have all this money invested in this game. They're like, I don't want the value of my cards to go down. I get it, but do you just, like, you know, we still want to entice new players to join, right? I mean, and to stay. Okay, that's probably the best way I could have said this. It's one thing to entice new players into the game with these cool First Strike starter decks and stuff like that. Great opportunity here and great stuff. I think this really is a good step in the right direction. But then making them stay is a whole nother thing, because then they start looking at the prices. Because, I mean, hey, we got to pay the bills, right? Every person has to pay the bills. You start looking at some of these new cards, and it's like, wait, you know, how much does that deck cost, like, for the whole thing? And how much does this cost, and how much does that cost? And it's overwhelming for the newer players, guys. A lot of times it is. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely overwhelming for me, and I'm not really a newer player. I've been playing TCGs for the better part of, like, I'm getting close to 20 years. I think I'm closer to 17 or 18 years. So it's like I've been playing TCGs for a very, very long time. But guess what got me out of Magic the Gathering? The price. The cards started getting too expensive. It's like, wait a minute. If I want to remain competitive at a local level, which is all that I'm going for competitive at a local level. Now it's a little bit different, right? Now I'm a content creator. It's a little bit different. But that's my main thing still, even as a content creator for One Piece. Like, I want to be very competitive at a local level. I want to be able to do everything I need to do. I want to be able to put together any deck that I want at any time. That's just not an option in Flesh and Blood. Yeah, I mean, unless you've got the money. Hey, if you got the money, it is what it is. But I think for newer players, let's just talk about the average person who likes to play TCGs. I think the budget is just too high for this game, where it becomes kind of like an elitist game or like a pay-to-win game. And is that something that LSS wants to be associated with? I don't know. I've never talked to James White. I've never talked to Brian Gottlieb. I've never talked to any of these guys. You know what I mean? I don't know them. You know, I just chill. I just live where I live over in Florida, and here I am. Speaking of which, I do want to go to I think there's going to be some type of Worlds event down in Orlando or Tampa. I can't remember, but I would like to go to that for Flesh and Blood. For the next one that goes there, like I said, it was either Tampa or Orlando. I am hoping I can try to make it to something like that, just to have fun, just to hang out and meet people. You know what I mean? Because that's all I'm in it for. I'm not here to win no major big tournaments. If I do along the way, cool. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to have fun playing a game that I think is awesome. Because I think Flesh and Blood is a really, really, really good game, but that its biggest flaws have nothing to do with the game. It has to do with the price. You know what I mean? And I guess that technically has something to do with the game, with rarities and things like that. But you know, because that drives up the price a lot of times, right? If you have a card, what is it? It's something like a legendary is 1 out of every 250 packs. I think that's what it used to be. I don't know if it still is that. I read that somewhere, and it was on the LSS site. It was like a legendary is 1 out of every 250 packs, and then a fabled is 1 out of every question mark packs. You know, where it's like, wait, what? Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, I need that card. For example, I always have to go back to this because, okay, guys, I'm a Viscerai main. Okay, I'm a Viscerai main. So yeah, you better believe the card that I want more than any card in the world right now is this card. You know, to play with. Of course, not to sell. Then I'd name some crazy, you know, $1 million Pokemon card, right? But like the one card that I want is this one. But I'm not ever paying that price right there. $235 for a card. That's, you know, that's outrageous. You know, and that's not even. This is the same thing. I can either buy this or I can buy, you know, 3 of these. Oh, whoops! I can't even spell. I can either buy 3 of these or 1 Arcanite shard. Yeah, it's rough, guys. We're in a rough spot here, at least for the newer players trying to get into the game. I do finally have my Enlightened Strikes. I've been building up to get that, you know, for a long time now. I finally have my Art of Wars. So my Zen deck is actually pretty much ready to go. Unfortunately, got some bans and stuff, you know, with the Bonds of Ancestry. Oh, well, it happens, right? It happens. But still, you know, I still want to play that deck, and I'll probably just make it more like Tiger focus. We'll see what happens. You know, I've got some options. But yeah, that's really the main thing, guys. So just to kind of summarize, I think that this right here, this 40, I wish it was 60 cards again, but that's fine. These 40 card decks, these Blitz ones like this, and the new First Strike stuff coming out, I think these are like top notch, great ideas. This is going to get people in the game. I can tell you right now, these ideas are going to get them into the game. I don't know about the Armory decks. I think this is kind of a janky idea personally, unless you can drive hey, if you can drive the price down to $20, then it's really not bad. You know what I mean? Or $25, somewhere around there, $24, $25. Okay, now I'm listening, because instead of getting just the 40 card deck like for the First Strike and the classic Blitz decks, now, you know, I'll pay a little less than double. I would like to pay like 20, like I said. Then I can buy this more competitive version of a starter deck. Cool, I'm listening. I'm all ears. And then the same idea with this. This isn't too bad. You know, this the double set. I don't know how well these sell, because I know like not everyone has like that pal they go and play games with. You know what I mean? I get that. I don't. When I was talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh example, I just played it by myself. You know, I went through the whole scripted duel by myself just to learn how to play the game, and that was like $20, by the way. That product was $20, and I felt like cool. It was absolutely worth it. Got that done and just moved on. But I will say the Armory stuff here, and the prices moving forward to upgrade these decks that we're talking about. Well, First Strike we don't know about yet, because these leaders are not out yet. We don't know how expensive these are going to be. But some of these other ones, guys, that we looked at, where's there's Katsu, but I was looking for where is let me ring up Dorinthia again. You know, for some of these other decks, where is it? Y'all bear with me. Historic Blitz deck. Here we go. You know, this one's $21. It must have like a really good card in there somewhere. But hey, that's a good thing too. Like, you know, print the super expensive cards in here and they'll drive the prices down across the board. But anyway, like I was saying, if I go to play Dorinthia and I'm like, dude, this deck is awesome. Like, I really, really enjoy this. I want to try that Hatchet's Dorinthia deck that I just heard about won or got second place in a Pro Tour, or was it Worlds or Nationals? I don't even remember what it was. I think it was Worlds. You know, like a few months ago or 6 months ago. I want to try this. Okay, and then you see the price and you're like, wait a minute, what? Because it's not even a matter of like making a budget list. At that point, it's like, wait a minute, certain cards in this game are out of control, at least by a lot of average people standards, just normal average player standards. Right, guys, that's probably about it. Like I said, I think the historic packs and the First Strike packs are excellent. Big fan of those. I think the Armory decks and the classic battle thing here is like a step in the right direction, but that's not the problem for inviting new players into the game. That's where we're ending off on. Enticing new players into the game is easy because this is a cool game. It's well made and it's very good, but then when they get into it, then they see the real monster, right? That's when they see, you know, let me go back to a good example in the tournament decks. That's when they see a deck like, let's just do this one. Okay, it's just the top one here. You know, this is a pretty cheap deck in this game, by the way. Like, you know, the others that we saw were $1,000+ Like Hatchet's Dorinthia was $1,000. Zen is $1,000. New was the one that we looked at today was like $1,300, $1,400. You know, this one only, quote unquote, only $600. You know, this is really cool. And like, what about some of the new leaders? So we looked at Zen, we looked at New. Let's look at one more. Let's look at Enigma. She's probably around the same price as Prism. Y'all give me just a second, guys. Where her name is Enigma, right? A, B, C, D, E. Here we go. Let's just look at here's the second place list. All right, let's check out. Here's the first place. Let me see how far these are. June. Let's do the July. This will be the updated version. Okay, there you go. So like I said, like all three of the main brand new decks that just came out, Enigma, New, and Zen, they're all like in the $1,000 range. And it's only because of a few cards like we already know. Traverse the Universe. Let me go pricing here. Okay, $100 for Findalls. Traverse did go down in price. This is down to $45. I think it was up to like $75 at one point. $80 for each Command and Conquer. $46 for the Weakest Link. I don't even play this card. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is a great card. Excuse me. Hold the Line is $20 a piece now. You know, it just gets so outrageous. Levels of Enlightenment. This is a card I wanted as well that I just don't have, that I can't play in my Zen deck yet because I can't afford it. And then $55, yeah, the Warmonger's Diplomacy. So there you go. And here's what I'm trying to say. Okay, now we can bring this back full circle. You know what I think they should start printing in these Armory decks? If these are if these are going to be from the $25 to $50 price point like they want them, or let's just say $30 to $45 price mark where they want them, then put something in there. Like put a card in there like Warmonger's Diplomacy, like Command and Conquer, like you know, some are class specific, that makes it a little bit harder, but stuff like Findall Spring Tunics, you know, things that are going to drive the price down of these cards that are outrageously expensive. All right, I'm done ranting, guys. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. And one thing I want to stress before I end this, do not misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say, like, oh, all doom and gloom. No, I'm trying to bring attention, I'm trying to bring a pretty serious issue to everybody's attention, at least coming from a newer player who's trying to get more and more into this game. I'm at a point where I have decided I want to make a YouTube channel and get into this game more. You know what I mean? Like, that's a serious commitment for those who are not aware, for those who are not content creators or don't know anything about it. You don't want to just waste your time with something you're not actually passionate about. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, when I go over these amazing websites, all the amazing community websites, you know, places like Fabrary, places like fabrec.gg, and you see all these, everybody knows, like, yeah, you need Findalls. Excuse me, I would even argue you need either Crown or Balance. You need one or the other, if not both. Warmongers sure is going to be nice. Coming up here soon, guys, for all the Runeblade stuff. You know, wink, wink. Enlightened Strikes, Command and Conquers. These are all cheap. See, this is great. Like $2 for these, man. Yeah, I'll take that every time. Oasis Respites. And then Art of War. You know, Art of War and Enlightened Strike are the most reasonable out of all the big hitters that I was talking about. Weakest Link is now $40 a piece as well. This is now considered a staple. But yeah, just want to see the game do well, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I said, please leave some comments in the comment section below. What do you guys think? Do y'all think that this game should stay this expensive, or should it go down in price? Because I already told you guys what I think. I think it should go way down in price. And it's an easy fix, right? Like, oh, okay, so this card, like, it's easy for LSS to fix, not for us players. LSS just has to hop on fabrec.com or .gg, excuse me. All they need to do is say, oh, Findall Spring Tunic, $100. I can fix that. They can fix that with one Armory deck. Like, oh, okay, Balance of Justice, next Armory deck's going to have that. Crown of Providence, and about two more, releases down the road, we'll have that. Same thing with all these. Warmonger's Diplomacy, Weakest Link. It's just, like I said, it is what it is. All right. Hope you guys like it, or hope y'all like the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put them down in the comment section below. Until next time, guys. Peace.